previously known as NXA Studios Argentina. So over the last 5 years, we've transitioned from a service company focused on art services for game development studios. Basically, we started our company 100% focused on creating characters for games and trying to become the best team in that segment of the market. And we started off being a very small team, actually working in a co-work. We were like 5 people. And over the years, we went growing
Okay.
and kind of establishing ourselves. And yeah, now we're a team of we're getting close to 100 people between engineers, artists, just about everybody. And over the last years, we started focusing on creating our own products as well, besides services. And a year ago, we saw we started paying a lot of attention to the NFT space. I mean, we had been paying attention, but we started like really deep diving into what was happening, um, kind of like the shift in consumer behavior and kind of where brands were kind of positioning themselves for Web3. And we felt it would be actually a perfect ecosystem to kind of just launch what we're doing and release our products and services using kind of this space, right? So that's basically what we've been doing. Um, over the yeah over the last we've actually started like the what people are seeing in our project is actually just like very surface level of things that we've been actually working on for a couple of years now, like the tools and kind of the technology behind and the processes behind what we're it's allowing us to do what we do. It's actually things we've been developing and working on for a couple of years now.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, I've taken a good look at the project. And it looks like quite insane. Like the level of detail and stuff from the avatars so far that I've seen, obviously just from the short sneak peeks and stuff on the website and on Twitter, are insane. From my understanding, like you say, you started small with just like a small team in a co-working space. It says on your website you guys have 84 team members now.
Yeah,
How
actually,
are
it's
they
it's
all like?
grown. It's actually
Yeah.
so we put up the website in December, and I think we're probably close to like getting close to 100 now. Yeah, we've
Crazy.
grown pretty wildly. The majority of our team works on the services that we do. So we're working on a couple of big titles that will be coming out over the next couple of years. And we have like around like 20% of our team that's focused on this cipher drop and um, on the tools and technology we're developing for the visual wallet and the game and this kind of stuff. So it's a little bit more than like 20% of our team now, but not just to give you an idea. But yeah,
Crazy, man.
we've been growing that team very like since December. Bringing on sound engineers, streamers. We have two streamers that we brought on to just do community stuff and stream games and do championships and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, it's just a lot of new people, handling communication and just yeah, a lot of things that we never had to worry about before, right? We were just a service company, and we'd have like two or three clients that we'd work with year over year. Um, so it's been a big shift for us.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, so maybe you can explain a bit about like what Collider is, what Cipher is, because from the website, I think it's maybe a little bit difficult to understand for the average person. But according to like the light paper and stuff, you have these avatars, right? Like these super detailed, high res, fully we could call metaverse ready avatars,
Yep.
correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I can kind of
Yeah, and
yeah.
yeah. Where do those work? How do they work in the different environments? Why would you want one? That sort of stuff.
For sure. Yeah, I think like the thesis for us is, back in the day where it's like everyone's gonna need a home, everyone should have a home or everyone should have a car or a TV or, then afterwards like a computer on every desk. I think that's kind of like our underlying thesis that, you know, eventually everyone's gonna need virtual representation. Um, the experiences and consumer behavior, as we know, is going to become much more immersive and virtual over the next 10 years. And your virtual identity is going to play a really important part. And we saw a huge opportunity in the marketplace because the companies that were trying to address this were companies that were really building off of old technology and old graphic systems. So we saw like a huge opportunity for us in the marketplace. and there's like a convergence, right, of several different things happening in the world. So you see um, what's happened in the NFT space, which is one of them, right? It's a really important piece of the puzzle. Then you have what's happening rendering in real time, and what rendering in real time is basically everything that happens in a game engine. Is just it's getting to the place where it's becoming photoreal, and you're seeing like a mass adoption in film and advertisement, and finally there's an engine that's really establishing itself as the market leader, which is Unreal Engine. They've been able to funnel a lot of the capital from Fortnite and a lot of the commercial success they've had over the last years, and I think will basically be like, if you're going to invest in a company, like I think Epic is going to be one of the most important companies when we're talking about a metaverse. Anyhow, so you have that technology, right? You have this kind of established um, uh, rendering engine, and then they're starting to
Sure.
establish protocols that a lot of developers can use. So if either you're making a movie or making an advertisement or making a game, everyone can use the same process, which is really important, right? Where you can stack technology on top of each other. Um, so we're seeing like this convergence of technology and what you're seeing in on the blockchain, all this stuff kind of coming together. It's like this perfect storm, and then we're kind of sitting right there in the middle, where we're like, hey, we know how to make avatars, we know how to make, and we've been doing it for years, we know how to make complex customization systems. So when you bring all of that together, that's basically a thesis. We're like, all right, the technology's there, the underlying fan base and consumers are there, and we have the core skill set. So that's like at the very essence what Collider is, right? Basically, we want to be one of the companies that are enabling everybody to have their own avatar and their own virtual identity. And I think if you like interacting, in this kind of virtual world, I think you're gonna want one, right? And Cypher's like the first drop would be like our first collection, so to speak. And there's many more to come. So we're gonna be announcing to the public in October what our next collection is, and then internally for holders, we're gonna be doing a reveal over the next couple of weeks, 3 weeks.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, so I think then maybe that's the main value prop is sort of you're offering this from your medium and so on, and what you've just said, like the avatar evolution, right? Like giving everybody the opportunity to have their own digital avatar. Um, but then I think my question would be, what makes Collider different from, let's say, a ton of different avatar projects, right? The ones that exist already and the ones that will come out. Because is the main value prop the way that the avatars look, or is it more the customization experience? Are you able to have a more customizable character? Do they have to look like your current collection? But you mentioned you have another collection coming out in October, or over time, will you build out this database of like, I don't know, assets and so on that allow you to make a completely customizable character? Like, what's the main value prop of getting a Cypher avatar versus any of the other NFT collections that already exist?
Look, I'm gonna share screens. Do you guys have our Twitch? Because that way we can share screens. Or
No, I
some.
don't have your Twitch, but I can. You should be able to share here, can you?
Okay, we just sent it on the group chat, our
Okay,
Yeah,
Twitch, so
cool,
you
it's
cool.
not
guys can.
possible to share in the on the stage. It's possible to share on the phone, but
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but if you guys
Um,
just go to the Twitch, you'll be able to see something that I'm. Yeah, so we're
Let me
streaming
just
this
pop
live
the
on
link
Twitch,
in.
so you guys will be able to just see whatever I'm streaming. I'll
Cool.
show you guys actually something that very few people have seen. Actually, I kind of held on to this for this round of AMAs, which actually is something that's close to 2 years old. So you guys can see how long we've been working on this, and I think we'll give you a pretty good idea of where we're coming from. Were you guys able
the
to get
link
Okay.
on?
will be in the living room, everybody.
Yeah. Cool. I've posted the link in the living room if you guys want to see the Twitch stream, so you can see what Daniel's going to share.
Jonathan, I think you moved the screen on Twitch. It's completely moved. There you go.
It's
Okay,
too.
I'm ready to share screen if you got it there. All right. So this is an early demo. This is 2 years ago, and you can see kind of what we are setting out to do. I think we're getting like some kind of laggy. Are you guys seeing this kind of laggy? I'm seeing it kind of laggy on Twitch.
Yeah.
It's a little
But I think we
laggy.
can get a good idea of what it looks like.
Okay.
But it is
Okay,
like
so this was the original idea for the tool. We were developing this tool for game developers, going, hey, what if you wanted to create, GTA, and just populate it in just a couple months with a small team of artists? What would you need to do, right? So we kind of set out to build this thing, and basically here we have very few assets. There are only like 40 different assets, but it allows us to make thousands of different variations between the material sets, the colors, because all of it works together, right? So when you're asking me, well, what sets you guys apart, I think one of them is this incredible background and experience we have. Like, we've been in the trenches in the game industry, which is it's a brutal and very competitive. So having to meet deadlines, very hard deadlines, quarter to quarter, and being able to deliver high fidelity, and then being pushed, like, at yourself, having to push yourself every year to kind of adopt new technology and adapt to the changes in processes, has made us like a lean, mean machine, so to speak. And
yeah.
so we really understand how this works, and we've delivered, shipped many games so far, and survived in extreme circumstances. So between the experience and then the tools we've developed. So basically, what you're seeing here allows you to basically, you have like this massive library where you can bring it all together. It all works together, and it becomes very powerful. So then you can eventually make hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of different variations, right? As you guys can see,
Okay.
with few assets, I'm making all different kind of variations and for different characters. So this first collection that we're doing, Cipher, as you guys know, it's you're gonna see it at the very end. It's one of the characters we built at the very end. When we looked at everything we had, we're like, okay, if we're gonna do an NFT collection, it should have personality. It should feel like something. It should feel like part of a collection and have its own identity. We really all kind of enjoy the cyberpunk theme, and so we went with that. As you can see there, I turned that kind of Italian mobster into like this cyberpunk ninja pretty quickly. um, so what's it called? So that was our objective when we started with this collection, but the idea is to bring out future collections as well. And what you can see on our website, or people who've been following us, we're developing what we call a visual wallet, which is basically going to be a marketplace where you can have all of your digital assets, so you can basically create your own characters. So as a company, we're going to be releasing collectibles, right? So imagine like Nike, or there's many brands like this, right, that they have like their consumer goods, and then you have their collector's editions. So what we release as collector editions will be kind of like the Cipher collection and others that are coming, and then we're gonna have like our consumer goods, right? So somebody can just jump on and buy a pair of jeans and a jacket, or maybe, let's say, an influencer or a musical artist or an athlete. It's like, hey, I want to release whatever it is, 10,000 jackets to my fans. I have like this cool idea for a jacket or some sneakers, and they can just put it up on our marketplace and it's ready to go. They don't need to understand anything about smart contracts, marketplaces, communities, and I think that will be very attractive for a lot of influential people and brands and IPs. It'll be very easy for them to kind of jump into Web3 and kind of this metaverse. So that's I think that's what makes it special.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a very interesting concept. We've actually spoken about this in our Discord a few times in terms of I'm sure you guys were aware of the recent sort of like 8-bit me mint, and that was like the original sort of avatar creation tool, right? And you could create these avatars, and everybody loved that, and that's sort of what made 8-bit quite popular for a short period of time a couple of weeks ago. But I think this customization is quite interesting because one of the major issues I've seen across the NFT space is that these characters that we're creating or minting from all these different collections, they aren't really sort of cross compatible. So I think if you have, like, if there does become one main dominant tool or centered tool, like whatever Collider is building, whether you guys become the main tool or not, like obviously it's difficult to determine that from now, but from what we've seen, it looks quite cool. If that were to be the case, I think there's a very unique use case here and a massive addressable market in terms of everybody wanting an avatar from this collection, because you can make whatever you want, right? You can make it as customizable as you want, and then use it across metaverses. So in terms of the actual character, right? Like once you've customized your character or made this dude, and whether it's a cyber ninja or uh, tulip gorilla, who knows? How do you use that character in, whether it be different games, metaverses? Like, where do you see that use case being, and how do people actually use that? Because I think only later this year you're gonna have sort of some alpha release or something like that.
Hmm.
How does that play out?
Yeah, actually, I was going to mention that when you were saying about, about the cross compatibility. What's really important about what we're doing is that we're building all of this off of the industry standard that is being created with Epic, right? So there's a couple really important parts here. If you're going to have an avatar, it needs to be animated, and for it to be animated, it needs bones, and it needs in basically, if every game has different kind of bones, then you can't use animations from one game to another, right? And what Epic has done with MetaHuman is that they've established kind of like this industry standard for the bones on the body. So we're building off of everything that Epic is doing as an industry standard. So like they have hundreds of animations on their marketplace. All of those animations will work with our character. Understand? So we're really building things so it's kind of it's decentralized, basically. Like anything that other people can build on Unreal Engine will be compatible with our avatars. So use case scenarios, right? We have people right now on our Discord participating of a challenge where they have to make their own games, and then they bring our avatar into the game that they're making. And the reason we're doing this, number one, is because it's just really fun. And then number two, we want to show people like the power behind what we're doing. Where like anybody can just go start making a game. The amount of tools that are available now to make really fun games, it's incredible. So we kind of see it a little bit like Roblox, um, but just a lot more powerful because it doesn't depend on one company, right? It's like anybody can go in, make their game, and then import our character and connect it to like the visual wallet. So you could like make your little game, connect it with your friend and say, hey, here it is. And if it's made in Unreal, then your friends can like jump into it from the visual wallet and play that game. And then aside from kind of like the hobbyist, which I think is incredibly powerful, right? If you think about Roblox, the kind of the hobbyist community, then you have professional developers that you're really helping them sort out a bunch of issues if they're going to build a game on the Unreal Engine and connect it to the visual wallet, because you're basically saving them years of development for character development, right? Which can cost tens of millions of dollars if you're making a big game. Then you're saving them like having to build a community around it, figure out a tokenomic system, figure out Web3, figure out like there's a lot you're sorting out for them, right? So you're offering them an ecosystem, a platform, a marketplace. Obviously we'd come up with a really good rev share model for creators. So that's where I see it becoming very powerful. We don't see ourselves as like a metaverse. We just see ourselves as kind of essential infrastructure, right? I can give you some other examples. Just a little while ago, a company reached out to us that they're building a virtual experience for some very notable musical artists that are about to go on tour, and they want to offer this virtual experience, but they need an avatar solution for this virtual experience, right? And we get hit up almost every month by companies, through, either from sport franchises, shopping experiences, virtual events that need like a really robust avatar experience, and they're all building on the Unreal Engine. So that's where we're really excited. It's like, hey guys, all you have to do is just plug in our virtual wallet, and people can sign in, make their character, and jump into your experience. But then we retain all those users as well if we can offer them other really fun games and experiences. So that's kind of the big vision here, and where this becomes interoperable and it becomes part of like this network effect, right, of creators and users that are plugging in.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting use case, and I think it, like I said, it does have a huge market, because you're basically appealing to every single game, right? Like you're appealing to anybody wanting to participate with some sort of character online. I think you mentioned as well in terms of development, right? You guys are building out a mosh pit, so your
Yeah.
own sort of Is it a game or is it just going to be like some sort of fight arena? Like, what do you envision for that? Because I know you mentioned that a lot of what you're doing is for other game developers or other sort of uh, studios that are building out their own stuff, and you sort of like pop in your avatars into that space. But where does the mosh pit come into play? And do you have other games lined up as well from your studio? Because from my understanding, you guys have built other games or at least collaborated on other games as well in the past.
Yeah, for sure. So the Mosh Pit's going to be our first game experience, and really this is just a showcase of the technology and kind of like a source of inspiration for creators and developers to be able to be like, holy shit, like look how good they built this with like 3 developers in this amount of time, and look how awesome, and it just works beautifully, right? And so it serves several purposes. One is for our community and users to be able to start jumping around and seeing each other in some sort of virtual experience and earning, credits or rewards or NFTs, or, there's a lot of opportunities there as far as the game mechanics goes. So yeah, it's basically a showcase. It's really a showcase of what is going to be possible. Um, and we kind of like this concept for gaming where it's really fast paced. You can just jump on and play for 10 minutes. And it's really built for people. I don't know how old you are. I'm like almost about to hit 40, and I don't have like 4 hours to drop on a game. So I just want to jump in, have some fun, play with some friends, earn something. So that's kind of our idea for games, is making uh, high impact, really fun. You actually win something. It's like a good investment of your time, so to speak,
Yeah.
and you don't have to spend hours playing. So we're starting with a mosh pit, which is it's a deathmatch shooter. But then this concept of like these deathmatch arenas is really fun, because then you can do like an escape game, you can do a running, you can do there's all sorts of setting traps, and I mean there's all sorts of really fun things you can do in these kind of deathmatch arena scenarios that are fairly easy to develop, so to speak. You don't need hundreds of developers. So those are the games we're going to be doing, like things that we can deliver in short time frames, and not like these 2-year development projects, right?
Of course. And then maybe for those who don't quite understand how games work, maybe they aren't avid gamers, or maybe they just haven't looked into the industry and they might not understand the mechanics behind it. Could you explain how, let's say, obviously these characters are plug and play, right? You can throw them into any
Hmm.
of these games that are using Unreal Engine's MetaHuman structure that you've mentioned. In terms of the abilities and additional features that characters have in a game, right? You don't, not all games are sort of just these open world run around, play and fuck things up kind of thing. Like it's
Yeah.
like there's actual interactive story. You have special characters, special tools, special powers, and so on. How does that integrate into these characters? Does it integrate to them at all? Like if I have a sword-based character like a samurai or something, and I want to play in a game that requires some sort of supernatural power or something like that, like how does that work? Is there any sort of compatibility there, or do you envision anything like that? Yeah.
I think, yeah, with the way things are set up, which every avatar is going to have its own unique ID, and then from there you're going to be it's going to have all its metadata, right? Where you can see, if it's a rare, super rare, ultra rare, if it's a hero, if it's a legendary, if it's an icon, you're going to have all of that information. So you can actually build game mechanics built off of that metadata, which is incredibly powerful, right? So for example, maybe in the games that we make, for example, right now, all the avatars are just 100% aesthetic, right? It's just cosmetic. You don't have more power, because we never want to fall into the pay to win model. But
Sure.
maybe somebody else wants to build a game where avatars with a certain rarity have certain powers, or they have certain abilities, or they have better damage, or whatever it is, and you can build all of that based off of the metadata, which is really cool, right? This is something that enables for a lot of really fun and creative experiences um, that other people can develop with, right? Because they're going to have access to
Sure.
all of that data.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And you say like obviously we've got all of these like aesthetic aspects already, the assets, right, for
Hmm.
these characters. Obviously, I'm assuming as time goes by, that collection will just grow and grow and grow, and you'll get more sort of assets added to that um, catalog or that inventory. would do you envision games approaching you? Let's say they're building something or something's upcoming, approaching you beforehand and being like, "Hey, can you add this set of assets to your collection before we build out our game? Because we will need some special asset or something for our characters to work in this game." Is that something that you have an idea of?
I think it's a fun idea. I think we're probably going to mainly be focused on our roadmaps. Basically, we have our next collection already in pre-production. But there are some really fun opportunities. So, for example, our next collection is going to be horror based. It's going to be really fun, extremely different than what we're doing right now. And we do want to reach out to a couple franchises that and IPs that we're huge fans of, and see if we can potentially collaborate and bring in some well-known franchises into that collection. And then there might be some, people developing a horror game who are like, oh my God, this is amazing. And who knows? Who knows? The potential is definitely there. I think it would have to be a significant game and a significant IP or franchise that would want to collaborate with us for us to kind of go out of our way and build content specifically for them. But it's definitely possible. And I think that's where we're really well positioned. When you're asking me also kind of what our value prop is that we're a very large team. We're probably the biggest team in the world right now that only focuses on avatar creation or character creation. So we have enormous production capabilities, so to speak. So if you look kind of like at what Fortnite does, and the majority of the revenue comes from selling skins. Well, not the majority, but like close to 50%. We could probably outpace them when it comes to content creation for characters. Like if we went toe to toe with Fortnite, we could probably create more content than them. Um, so that's also somewhere where we feel really strong, and that would allow us to do these kind of things, right? Where somebody comes and say, "Hey, can you guys build this specifically for us?" There is the potential for that, right? But I think we're going to be pretty much just focused on the collections we're planning on. And basically, also just to kind of go back to something you mentioned, these collections are going to be, so right now this first collection is 7,890 pieces, and it's going to stay that way. We're not going to keep on adding more stuff, at least for the foreseeable future. It's going to stay that way to really retain its value. What we will do is add content for that collection. So if you're like you're kind of like part of a club, and you get like all these cool things that come in every month. So we have airdrops planned for the next 6 months. You're going to be getting an airdrop every month, with like cool helmets, legendary weapons, and all sorts of fun stuff like that. So you'll be able to kind of like add cool gear and weapons and helmets to the avatars that you have originally.
Sure. Yeah, and then I think that'll take me on to another question. So with this set, right, there's 7,890
Mm-hmm.
pieces. If you're building this character builder
Mm-hmm.
per se, you can swap out a ton of different assets, clothing, helmets, weapons, whatever. When you're minting this NFT, do you get a pre-made character with a random set of assets that if you don't like, you have to then buy individual assets, or do you have to buy another entirely pre-made character? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so the idea for now, the like the immediate roadmap is finishing this collection and then releasing the second one, which was just kind of this horror based one. And on both of these, you're going to have certain things you can adjust and change and swap out, and others that stay the same. And this is to really preserve the value of the original asset you purchased, right? And this is kind of thinking of it from a kind of a collector's point of view. If you change the asset intrinsically too much, it'll never be a collector's item, because you never know like what pieces I mean, there is a way of knowing, right? But like if they switch out the pants and the shoes, and then you end up buying it from them, you're like, oh, but this isn't really the original from the first drop, right? On the other hand,
Yeah.
we do want to allow for customization. That's really the power behind the tool that we're creating. So the way we're doing is you're going to be able to swap out anything that are like helmets and headgear. So masks, glasses, earrings, helmets, all of that. You're going to also be able to swap out melee weapons and gear. So for example, backpacks and all this kind of stuff. So essentially the character remains the same, but there's some things you can change around. And you can, we're going to be airdropping like new helmets, new weapons. You're going to be able to buy them off of other users, and you're going to be able to customize these things inside of the visual wallet. our long-term vision, when we're really talking about like a consumer product, is yeah, I jump on, I buy an avatar, and then I can just buy whatever I want. I buy those pants, I buy that jacket, I buy that t-shirt. But they're never going to be as cool, so to speak, as the collector items. I mean, they're obviously going to be cool, but we really want the collector items to feel really special, right? Again, as you would see, as some of these like sneaker brands or urban, clothing brands, right? You have like your kind of mass market content, and then you have like kind of the collector's content, right? So then that way,
Mhm.
you allow just any old person to jump in, and they don't they don't need to get into these collections, and they can just jump in and make an avatar and start having fun. And then you have something really special for kind of the hardcore believers and people who want to get into these collections and really believe in what you're doing, right?
Sure. And then in terms of those assets, right? Like, let's say I'm in some character and I want to swap out the headgear and the weapon.
Mhm.
How do I do that? Do I buy it on OpenSea? Or are you still going to build out a marketplace for that? How do you buy individual assets for this character?
Yeah, so what we're building, the visual wallet that we're building, which is basically a visualizer for your character, your assets, and then it's kind of a launch pad for the games and experiences, right? So there you're going to be able to see all of the assets that you can place onto your avatar. And you're also it's gonna be a marketplace, so you're also gonna be able to buy things from other users, right? On the short term, we're gonna be airdropping these assets as we finish building out the visual wallet. So you'll find users that maybe have no interest in having a helmet because they already have one, or for whatever reason. And maybe let's say the most common class, they're called pioneers, and they don't have helmets. So let's say you minted a pioneer, you still have the chance of getting like the super cool helmet that you want, because you could buy it off of a secondary market from somebody who maybe didn't want it from an airdrop, right? So short term, you're going to be able to buy it off of OpenSea, and then later this year, you're going to be able to purchase it just directly on the visual wallet.
Okay, very cool. Maybe we can touch on sort of what you mentioned in terms of the pioneer and the sort of
Mhm.
different character levels. Like, how does that work, and why would you want a different level or like different version of the character? Like, what do you call those levels, and why do you want them?
Here, let me get this here. Johnny, can you share screens? I'm gonna go down here so we can. Yeah, yeah, go ahead. Can you guys see this?
Uh, yeah, I think it's delayed slightly. Yeah.
All right, so this is the hyper faction, and so you can see the first guy. He's the pioneer, and as you can see, he doesn't have any pants. Key factor, but but some people might want to run around the metaverse in their undies. I certainly would. So that's a bit of a nod to my childhood. So as you can see, the pioneer has less clothing, and they're a bigger part of the supply, right? So the pioneers, which is the first avatar you see, they're going to be 50% of the supply. Then the next one is a hero, and they're going to be a 35% of the supply. And then you have the icon at the very end, which is going to be a 15% of the supply. And so they have value intrinsically because they have more assets. So basically, the 3D assets take time and a lot of time actually to produce. So they actually have like real world value. And then also they're more limited, right? And you can see here, I'm going to go through some of the other factions so you can see kind of what they look like. So as you can see, the pioneer always has less assets, but what we want to do is we want to make sure they're as cool as possible. So there's actually some of the coolest part of this collection we haven't even shown yet. We're going to be showing it during the pre-reveal. We have a good space of time there to show people, and there's some of the coolest stuff of the collection we haven't shown yet. So
Okay, very cool. Yeah. So
these are the different evolutions, or sorry, the different classes.
yeah. During that pre-reveal period, from my understanding, it's you guys are going to reveal in August, correct?
And June,
Um,
the
June.
30th of
Okay.
June, yeah.
Okay, cool. So leading up to that, basically, I would assume you guys are still building out the rest of the assets and everything that needs to be airdropped to people and so on. Um, is anything else happening in that time, or is it sort of just like this run up to the reveal?
Yeah, so there's a lot of people were asking, it's like, why are you guys having 40 days before the reveal? So there's a couple of reasons for that. One of them, and the main one, is that we announced this project in late December. So there's people who's been with us since December, and we just felt it wasn't fair to them to just keep them waiting and waiting and waiting. Like if they just wanted to do something with their whitelist, either if they wanted to sell it or hold it or whatever they wanted to do, we wanted to give them access to that. So that's the main reason why we decided to mint on the 20th. So then we basically give our community full control over their future and their destiny. and then and then what to answer your question of what we're going to be doing in the meantime is we're going to be giving people access to the visual work. It's not the visual wallet yet because it's not on chain. So it's basically basically a demo where you can actually see what it's going to feel like from a consumer standpoint. It's like, oh, here I have my avatar, I can switch things around. So people are actually going to have access to this. It's going to be pixel streamed, so you're just going to get on a web browser and be able to see all of the graphic fidelity of the best video cards. And then we're also going to have access to a pre-alpha demo for the mosh pit. And we're also going to be revealing more content from the collection. So there's going to be a lot of stuff going on in those 40 days. So yeah, we're basically that. People are going to be able to demo the tools, the game, and also have access to a lot of new stuff that we're working on for the collection. And a big part also of that delay is we're locking in around 30 days of Q&A. So we're doing the quality assurance of basically all these, all these avatars. It was at 3,890. It's a lot. And you have to make sure each piece of clothing deforms well when it's animated and it doesn't clip with one another. I mean, you see some of the biggest games, like the main characters have like clothing clipping and, intersecting, and we're going to try to avoid that. But there are thousands of characters, and it's a huge undertaking. I don't think it's ever been done before in this time period. So it's challenging, but yeah, that's why. And that's why it's also, I think it's very different for people that are from the NFT space. They're like, what the hell is taking you guys so long? But yeah, like a game, realistically takes like 2 to 3 years to make, and they generally don't have 3,000 characters in them. So this is some challenging stuff we're trying to pull off here.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Like everything in the NFT and crypto space moves a mile a minute. But I also come from a traditional media background, and I know how long things take. So it's quite interesting to see everyone sort of like trying to rush these roadmaps when, like, if you do actually want good quality, it really does take time, especially with something of this scale. Like, obviously from the stuff that we've seen, we haven't seen much, but obviously from your Medium and Twitter and stuff like that, the level of detail is unreal. Like, it's insane. And to make sure everything like this works well with every other asset is a ball ache. So
yeah,
good luck with that.
Yeah, because you'll see the characters running, and you're like, okay, everything works well, things, and then all of a sudden they throw a high kick, and then you see like the leg like stretch, you're like, oh fuck, and then you have to go and fix that. So it's like, yeah, it's this whole like last stage. Once you produce the assets, you integrate them, then you have the skinning and the rigging of the assets. And the skinning is really where you make sure that the assets deform correctly. So when they're moving their arms, maybe like a hard shoulder pad, you don't want it bending. And it's a lot. And you have to go through each asset and make sure it works. And then make sure they all work together, right? Because they're hundreds of assets. So yeah, I think when you see other companies try to pull this off, I think people are gonna realize they're gonna be like, oh, okay, that was pretty legit what these guys did. Until
Yeah.
then, I don't know if people are gonna realize like the amount of work, or even other projects. I think it's gonna be really challenging for some projects that are like promising, avatars and all this kind of stuff, and they released the PFP, but then now they need to go back and make the avatars. We did it the other way around. We kind of built the technology, we built all of the content, and then at the very end we're pulling out the PFP, right? If you have to go backwards now, like they made the PFPs and now they need to go backwards and actually build all that content, it's going to be incredibly challenging.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I think let's hop into sort of like one last thing. We've just got a couple minutes left here. I know that you guys have another AMA after this. In terms of the complementary stuff that's being added as well, like merch, and stuff like that. Like how do you see that playing out? The commercial license, I've had some questions in the Discord asking what does that entail and how does that work. So if you guys are launching your own merch, how does the commercial license work outside of that, as for holders and so on? Maybe you can just touch on that.
Johnny, I'm gonna change screen here real quick. All right, so the commercial license for the avatars themselves, you have full commercial license for it. So basically, as long as you're not breaking the law, you can do whatever you want with it. We didn't put any cap on the license either, as some projects did. We went back and forth and really thought about this, but we're leaving no cap. So regardless of how much money you make, you can do that. And then as far as the other merch, are you talking about like airdrops?
Yeah. So from your Medium page, it says that you've got the sort of like the primary Cypher utility, then the complementary. You've got commercial license, airdrops, and then physical merch. What is that merch? Is it planned out yet, or is that sort of just like an additional thing?
Yeah, here, let me get into here because we actually expanded quite a bit on this. Um, Jonathan, can you share the screen, please? All right, so this is, I'll just kind of go through the airdrops that we have planned here. Mm, mm, mm. All right, so the first one we have right here where you're talking about like headwear, that's everything that's like glasses, helmets, masks, all that kind of stuff, which I think are going to be really cool. Then you have faction weapons. So basically each faction has their different style of weapons. So we're going to have, and they're also going to have their own rarity structure. So you're going to have some guns that are like ultra rare or whatever. And then here we go, physical bust. So this is actually like a physical bust of the different factions. Like they have kind of like their legendary heroes or kind of like the helmets that everyone's kind of used to seeing. And then at the very end here, there was one which is, here's the diamond handed hero box, which is this is like the physical merch stuff you were talking about. This is after holding it for 6 months. You're gonna have leather bound books, leather. Actually, I think we have one here. Johnny, do you think you could get me some of them so we can show them? But yeah, basically you're gonna have hoodies, t-shirts, leather bound books, and cases, and then like 3D collectible figures. So we're really big into like physicals. Actually, we had a clothing brand like way back in the day. So that is something that we want to deliver. Of course, we're doing it after 6 months because it would be incredibly challenging to do this for thousands and thousands of holders. But we're definitely really planning on delivering some really cool stuff. These are actually, you guys are the first people to see these. This is from, I don't know how good you guys will be able to see this, but basically this is like the faction insignia. These ones are going to be for like the hyper faction. So you have like, they're all color paletted, and then they also have like the insignias in the back. And then this is like a leather bound case. Also, like you can't really just do with the lighting here, but you have like some really nice engravings here in the leather, and then you're gonna have like all your cool stuff in here with your all the faction lore and your certificate as an official diamond hand. And well, so in that box you're gonna have physical merch as well, and all that kind of cool stuff. So that's the diamond handed hero box. We're probably going to be revealing it in a couple weeks. We're going to have most of the prototypes ready, and then we have like a bunch of like cool stickers and just fun stuff. But the real like focus on like the short-term value for holders are these kind of airdrops with like really nice content, the weapons and the helmets and all this kind of stuff, so they'll be able to customize their character. And then long term, the real utility and value that would be offering our holders are, number one, the experiences, and then number two, I think there's going to be some incredible kind of opportunities with our marketplace, and I think there's going to be a lot of really cool stuff. I think we're going to have a lot to support, like a lot of supporting value for what we do, like intrinsic, like digital goods, right? Where it's stuff that people will be able to use for real, and it's not just something, like an image or something, so yeah, I think I don't want to get too much into what's happening in the future, but basically this is kind of like a little sneak peek of the benefits for holders that are going to be with us over that 6-month mark. And we really do want to open up like good investment opportunities, because most of the people in the space are besides loving the art, you're looking for business opportunities as well, and I think with what we're doing, there's going to be plenty of those. So we're really excited about that. We will be announcing it a little further down the line once we have some more things kind of sorted out. But yeah, I think a marketplace is going to open up a lot of opportunities.
Cool, man. Awesome. Yeah, dude. Like, I think you guys have a really excellent project here on your hands. And I so at YMH will support you in whatever way we can. Great project that you've created, like insane detail. Obviously, you guys have a massive team and you're paying a lot of attention to detail. So, yeah, I wish you guys all the best success, and we'll be here for the mint and
All right.
watch your journey.
Well, thank you so
So,
much
thank
too. I really
yeah,
appreciate you guys. It was such a short notice, bringing us on and taking time to chat with us. What's it called? Johnny's gonna be putting some Discord invites too. Oh, Sheldon.
sure,
Oh, you
cool.
already have him, Sheldon?
Okay, I'll
The
take a look.
Discord
There might be.
invites? Yeah, I think he might have already got them. So yeah, our Discord, we're keeping our Discord closed because it's just a lot easier to manage, and it allows people to really kind of understand the project and kind of get along, and it avoids a little bit of the craziness of open Discords. But
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming. So we have the next drop coming for the Cypher collection. This is the first half of the drop, and then we have the next collection coming, which is a horror themed. It's going to be insanely beautiful. I think people are going to lose their mind when they see that. So if people want to be part of the Discord and kind of be part of the journey, and they're welcome to join.
Awesome, man. Great. Yeah, I'll get those invites sent out to our Discord after this. But yeah, I appreciate you guys and I appreciate your time, man. Glad we could manage to make this after the mishap earlier. But yeah, hope
All right.
wish you best of luck for the rest of the AMAs that you have.
All right,
You
Sheldon.
guys are doing.
Appreciate you, man.
But yeah, man.
Thanks. It was great.
Well, dude.
Talk soon, man.
Cheers.
Appreciate you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.